Okay, we're rolling.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're still plugging away. It's the, 365 episodes in a row of the How to Podcast series. This is crazy. This is a lot of stuff going on to make all this happen. And I love doing it. I love having time with you. And if you've been keeping up with this, then you deserve like a special prize. I don't know what I can come up with, but thank you. And if you're first time here, you're like, wait, what? Yeah, 365 episodes in a row this year. I'm recording about a week to 2 weeks in advance. That's kind of how my cadence has been so far. And it's a lot. It's definitely a lot to do a daily episode. Not advised to everyone to try this. Please don't try this at home. It's considerable amount of work. And I'm doing this on top of all my other shows, on top of my podcast meetups, on top of helping podcasters, on top of coaching and editing for other shows, and working full time, and being a grandfather of two. Oh, yeah. I don't have a lot of Dave time. I've completely given up on binge television watching and Netflix and Prime. I don't have time to sit there for 4 or 5 hours and watch a TV series. Those days are done. I'd much rather be here with you anyway. So thank you for being here. Thanks for pressing play. This is the How to Podcast series. Why does this show exist when there's so many other podcasts about podcasting? Well, we do it different because we do it as a community. It's not a single voice barking at you about what you should and shouldn't do in podcasting. I don't have a list of rules or a funnel or 7 easy payments. No, it's just me, just Dave, and some of the best listeners in the world and the best guest co-hosts in the world on this show. If I haven't had you on the show yet, then please reach out. And some people reached out to me and said, Dave, there's other people that you should have on the show. And some I'm like, oh yeah, we should make that happen. And some I'm like, well, nope, they don't fit with what we do here. And it's a hard pass. So I'm trying to make this show as enjoyable for everyone, as uplifting as possible for everyone. And we'll ignore those gurus who talk down to you because they don't need to be on here. They have their own show, and you can go listen to them if you want, but that's not what we do here. So welcome to the show. So this episode is not meant to be a scathing, dressing down of you. If you choose to do a script for your show, that's completely fine. Happy that you're in podcasting and happy that you're here. The idea here today is to convince you, or at least challenge you, to consider drifting from the script here and there as you become more comfortable as a podcaster. When you first start out, maybe the script is your safety net. It's the thing that keeps you on task. It keeps you on focus. Maybe you tend to wander with your thoughts and you need something that brings you back to what you're doing. Then great. Then scripts are great. My one piece of advice for you is just think about how you write compared to how you speak. If you're going to use a script in your show, you want to make it feel like you're talking, not like you're reading. There's a big difference between the two. When we write, we have the chance to edit. We have the chance to put punctuation, and we have ways of crafting, and we have words that we would say on paper that we would never really say in real life. I've listened to some podcasters who are definitely reading, and they'll swear up and down they're not, but they are. And you can tell because of how they frame their sentences and how they speak on the mic. You can tell. These people are reading. And again, there's no problem with reading from a script. The one thing I've been saying from a listener perspective is we love it when you step away from a script. The difference between a scripted podcast and an audiobook, there's not much. There's not much difference at all. And an audiobook has to be read as written. And the voice actors or the author themselves, when they read their audiobook, they basically got to stick word for word with what's happening in the story and what's on the printed page. That's kind of how it works. A podcast doesn't have those limitations. You can stop your script at any time, add some flavor, some color to what you're saying from the script, and then come back to the script. You can do that anytime you want. And all those little pieces of you that are not on the page that come up while you're recording, those are pieces of you where people can lean in. It could be a story. You're a coach. And this week, like you created the script for your episode weeks ago, but something happened today. in a coaching meeting, in a client meeting where you had this moment of clarity and something came up as a question and you answered it. It relates to what your podcast is about, relates to the script in front of you. But it's because it's not in the script, you won't talk about it. But oh my gosh, those things are real moments that people connect with. And we love it when you deviate from the written word and you talk to us as if we're really there. It really helps. So I've been a musician for 46 years. I've played on stages and in studios and on TV and a bunch of stuff. And it's been an amazing journey as an artist to go from a guy playing guitar in his bedroom as a kid to being on stage in front of people and playing live. It's like the coolest thing. It is really fun to do that. And I'm an introvert, so that's even a bigger thing for me, right? And I love music and I love listening to music as well as recording music. I'm not a dancer. My wife will attest to that. But I love making people dance through music. And one of my favorite bands growing up was Van Halen. Now, I'm not into the David Lee Roth Van Halen years. It's a lot of spandex and a lot of leather for me, a little bit too much, and a little weird. Dave's a little weird. A lot of Daves I find are a little weird. I'm much more of a Sammy guy, and Sammy Hagar went into the band when Dave left, and the tone of the band changed. Now, some people are going to tell me that I'm completely lost it here and that David Lee Roth was the only singer for Van Halen. Great. That's fine. We can all agree to disagree. I'm happy with you being here still. I'm happy that we're still friends, even though I don't agree with you. And I think you have a problem here. No, I'm just joking. I still think that Sammy brought out a different version of Eddie on guitar and the music changed. It really, really changed. It became more hits were created during that time frame. And I just love Sammy's approach to music as an artist, as a singer. And he's even today, he's still rocking. It's just amazing to see this guy still just touring and being out there creating multiple bands. I'm sure he's created way too many bands since he left Van Halen. But he just keeps building and building and building. And I heard an interview which sparked this idea for this episode, where he was being asked about his approach on stage as a singer. And he brought out, there's a couple things here that I really want to hone in on. I'm going to play the clip full, and I'm going to play it again. I'm going to break it up and bring out what stood out to me that could be related to podcasting that I think you and I can learn from Sammy. So again, all my David Lee Roth fans, I still love you, but let's hear from Sammy, because when David gets interviewed, he talks about moonbeams and unicorns and space, and I don't know really what he's talking about. But Sammy actually makes sense. So here's Sammy talking about being on stage. Here's the clip that caught my attention.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's all about the crowd. I don't wear in-ears and I don't use teleprompters because I don't read to the audience. I sing to the audience, and I have to have their feedback in order to really come out of my shell and start making the best show I can possibly make. You know, I'm not a trained artist. I'm not a trained singer. I'm not a trained entertainer. I never, took dance lessons or singing lessons or even guitar lessons. And so everything I do comes right from, my heart and my gut. And so it's important.
So there you go. Okay, that's a quick one. I know. So let's do this again. And I want to bring out just a couple things he says right at the beginning, because what Sammy says here, I really agree with from a podcast perspective. As a fellow musician as well, I agree with it from that context. But yeah, this part really stuck out to me right here at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's all about the crowd. I don't wear in-ears and I don't use teleprompters because I don't read to the audience. I sing to the audience, and I have to have their feedback in order to really come out of my shell and start making the best show I can possibly make,
So I don't use in-ears, so the little monitors inside their ears, right? So they can hear what's going on. Doesn't use those on stage, which is interesting. And he doesn't use a teleprompter. No teleprompter, if you're not sure what that is, it's basically a big computer screen that sits at your feet down by the monitors where the stage volume would come out of. And it is something that feeds you all the lyrics. So, he doesn't use either of those. He doesn't.
I don't read to the audience. I sing to the audience.
I don't read to the audience. I sing to the audience. Do you get that? I don't read to the audience. I sing to the audience? Podcasters, are you reading to the audience? Or do you podcast to the audience? This is really important.
I don't read to the audience, I sing to the audience.
And I think as podcasters, here's where maybe we can do a little bit better. Again, I'm not anti-script at all, especially if you need it. If you need it, then please use it. And don't feel judged if you use a script. I don't use a script. I use talking points. I just turn on the mic and talk. But I've been doing this for over 2,500 episodes. So by no means am I asking of you to do what I do. That's not possible. You have 2 episodes, or you're just starting. You haven't even recorded anything. You're like, there's no way. I need this script. I need it, Dave. Don't take my script away. No, use your script. But make sure that you're talking to your audience. Other bands swear by having a monitor on the screen or a monitor on the stage that gives them all the lyrics. So like U2 has to go back and listen to their old recordings because they don't even remember the lyrics or how they even played the song in the first place. So it's necessary for many, many people. But when you don't tie yourself to it and you don't make it everything about your show or about your podcast, you can do some of this stuff on your own without having all of those things to keep you on track. I think it's going to help you in more ways than one. Not just your podcast, but if you ever get on stage and you get to talk in front of an audience, sure, you'll have a script, but you'll have an idea what you want to say, maybe some slides up behind you on the wall. But when you can talk to the audience as people instead of as passive listeners, I think something happens. Something magical happens. And when you go to a Sammy show, you can see that he really interacts with the audience and he's not tied to a script. He's not tied to the lyrics. He's ready to go. And I like that about Sammy. Now, this part's for me. I've found for my own show, by ditching the full script, word for word, what I'm going to say on my show, by ditching that, I sound like a real person in a real moment. I'm not pre-scripted and perfect. I make mistakes. I stumble. I say things that I could have said it better a different way. I listen back and go, oh, I could have done that better. But I'm listening back and I'm improving every time I do this. It's like I'm with my audience instead of performing at my audience. When you drop perfection and you start to focus on presence, your voice begins to carry more warmth. It feels more spontaneous and trustworthy. Exactly what keeps people coming back. And it works really well in the interview process. The secret to my interviews, no questions written out in advance. Pre-interview and research. And third part, curiosity. Those are the 3 things that make for my show. Makes my interviews work, not a scripted list of questions. And I push back on anybody that wants them in advance because I don't know what my questions are going to be because I have no idea where you're going to take me in the conversation as a guest. So why no script feels more human? To the listener. When we read word for word, it tends to make our delivery really stiff and sterile and distant because our attention is on the page. Our attention is focused on the words in front of us. Not really the delivery and not really the connection. Not the listener. We're so tied to what we're doing and what we're saying, we've forgotten about the person listening to us. And is it resonating? Is it connecting with them? When we talk about resonating, another musical term, if I set up 2 acoustic guitars in my recording space here, one across the room and one beside me, and I pick an open string, okay, on the guitar, I hit it, the guitar across the room will resonate with that string and the same string will start to play on the other guitar. It is the coolest thing ever. So as podcasters, when you get on the mic and you start talking, when you resonate with your audience, they start to feel what you're saying. And when I listen to heavily scripted podcasts, which I would say are the equivalent of an audiobook, I don't feel the same connection because I feel like you're distracted by the words in front of you and you're not totally focused on me. It's like the script is in the way of us. It feels like I have to Like pull the paper down from your eyes so I could connect with you as a podcaster when I'm listening to your show. And it seems like sometimes, at some points, podcasters get so caught up in the script and being perfect that they forget that there's somebody actually listening to this. So keep that in mind. You can loosen your grip and speak from familiarity instead of the text in front of you. And when you do so, you sound more conversational and more relatable as a podcaster. Listeners press play to understand you, not to listen to you. Not to listen to you recite a document. They want your perspective, your emotion, and your story, not necessarily an audiobook. Small stumbles and pauses and rephrasing signal that you're a human thinking in real time, which builds connection with your audience, and it helps your audience to feel that credibility faster than a perfectly polished read. And that's what the AI tools can do. We're humans. We approach this different. Think of it like a dinner conversation. Just imagine putting yourself into a situation at dinner and you're sitting across the table and the person across the table is giving you a memorized monologue. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to be like, are you talking to me? Or are you talking to the room? Like, what's happening here? But a slightly imperfect, heartfelt story feels warm and engaging. It's in the moment. It's connective. It's not distant. It's not something that pushes people away. It draws people to you. Big thing in podcasting that I love is when a podcaster speaks to me, not at me. If you've ever been to university or college or remember back to high school and you were spoken to your professor, your teacher, get up and they do their thing, blah, 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 blah. You get the Charlie Brown, if you remember Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. All this stuff is going on and everyone has got a little drool coming out of the side of their mouth. Some people have fallen asleep completely. People have just tuned out. Watch Ferris Bueller. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling, right? That comes from a professor that just loves the sound of their own voice. And they've completely disengaged from their audience, right? Bueller, anyone? Bueller, right? That's a teacher that's disengaged. And that's a great example of a podcaster that's disengaged. They just love the sound of their own voice and they've forgotten that there are actually people that are listening to their show. That's the problem. When we ditch the script, we treat the mic more like a one-on-one conversation and we start asking questions and acknowledging realities and speaking into somebody's day. Somebody picked your show because of the title, because of you as a companion in their life. They've maybe had the worst day ever, and this is their opportunity to connect with somebody that they really admire. And if you show up and throw a script at them, that's not why they're here. They love the content, but they stay for you. They love you. They love to hear your thoughts in real time and to feel like you're talking to them directly, not at them. You'll hear people talk about this in podcasting quite often, that one of the mental shifts we need to make before we hit record is I'm talking with one specific listener, not broadcasting to a crowd. Change your wording, your pacing, and your energy immediately, simply by focusing on the fact that you're talking with one person, not at one person, or not to a massive crowd. The big thing for us as podcasters, let's be in the moment and not in our head. Again, we're going to the extreme here. Over-scripting keeps you locked into your own head, worried about the next line and making it sound just perfect. Being present lets you respond internally to what you just said, follow a thought a little bit deeper, go off script a little bit, and chase your muse. Can we say that? Yeah, chase your muse and lean into that story that suddenly feels relevant in the moment, something that just came to you. This is kind of like a live style, unscripted conversation that works because audiences are already in the moment. They're in the moment listening to you. You're not in the moment when you're overly scripted. You're not. They're listening for how you're thinking right now, not how well you memorize the thing in front of you or how good you can read off the cuff. When you show up as you, your natural rhythm, your humor, the little quirks about you, your emotional reactions to things. Listeners start to feel like they know your personality, not just you, but your personality, and they feel like they've connected with you on a very personal level. This is something that makes a foundation for that loyalty that you can build on and a community for your show because people know you. One useful theme, treat every solo episode, if you do solo episodes for your podcast, like a coaching call or a coffee chat, not a keynote where you're delivering from a teleprompter. Go back to Sammy. No teleprompter. Okay? No lyrics in front of him. He's in the moment. And if he messes up a word in the song, no problem. He's in the moment. And that's the part I find with a lot of overly scripted podcasters is they're not in the moment. I have to deprogram podcasters who come from a speaking background. This is not speaking. You might be great in a live setting, but throw you behind a microphone and you just clam up. You just read to us and it's not working. We need you, the unfiltered, unscripted version of you. That's where you're going to find the deeper connection with your audience, from my perspective. And as a listener, that's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for you to connect with me. So my big thing here is I think as podcasters, we just need to drop the perfection, but keep the structure. Ditching the script doesn't mean winging it. That's the opposite extreme to this. It means that we're trading exact wording for clear structure around what we want to say. Full scripts can harm connection, but bullet points and outlines keep you organized while leaving room for some of that spontaneity and the real conversation to happen behind the scenes. Some people love to script out their intros and their outros. Fine. But leave some room in the middle for some play. Leave some room in the middle for maybe some things to go not as you had planned it to go. And we'll see what happens, right? That kind of freedom to not stick to the script. A good example, when I talk to podcast guests on my Living the Next Chapter show, I tell them that I'm going to be kind of leading the conversation as the host, and I'm not going to talk over you as a guest. And I'm just going to be listening and responding in real time to what's happening. I don't give out my questions in advance because I don't know what the questions are, but they're going to be about my guest and about their book. That's about all I can do. And the topic of their book, maybe, right? That's about all I can give them as far as some guardrails for the episode. Everything else is up in the air. I want to experience this in real time, just like my audience will later. So for me, that's my approach. And it really works for me because it creates that space, but it still has structure, it still has form, it has a beginning, middle, and end. People need that kind of thing to kind of relate to. They don't want this open-ended 3-hour conversation about nothing. We want to have some kind of guardrails to what we're going to do. So some guardrails, but without following it word by word, inch by inch. Give yourself some room. I like looking at my notes for a podcast like I'm doing right now with kind of like the big idea. I like an intro and outro idea. I like my main topics that I want to cover and maybe some subpoints underneath them. And then the rest of it is just me turning on the mic and using this. Do this as well. I record in sections. I don't record one take for the entire episode. I'm recording in chunks. That's why I have those little swipe sounds in between what I'm saying so that I can record a piece and then stop, move my cursor a little bit over to the right, hit a new spot on the track and keep recording. And that little space in between, those are all spots for me to add the little swipes in later so I can move through my content in little pieces instead of one massive recording in one shot. It gives me the freedom just to do one little piece at a time. And if I want to edit one little piece, I can just edit the one little piece. I don't have to redo the whole thing from the beginning because I messed up near the end of the episode. Ugh. No, I do them in chunks. I add the swipes. That's why I do what I do. That's what works for me. You got to figure out what works for you. So people always ask me, Dave, give me these more practical things. Like, you're talking great kind of theories and big ideas, but more practical. What can I do exactly? Tell me exactly what to do and I'm going to do it. Again, this might work for you and might not, but here's kind of a framework to keep in mind. As an example, your intro can be scripted, no problem. What is the promise of the episode? Who is it for? Why does it matter? Why should I care? That's part of your intro. The middle, unscripted, could be 3 to 4 bullet points, plus some stories, some anecdotes, a quote that you really like, a clip like Sammy talking about not using a teleprompter, right? I'm doing it right here for you in this episode. And some examples from your actual life. That's the middle. It's messy middle, right? And then the outro, you can script again. It's a summary. You're wrapping it up, key points, takeaways, and a confident call to action. Like, what's the next thing from here? Go listen to the next episode. Go listen to a past episode. Connect with me. Reach out. I'd love to have time with you. Whatever. What is that one call to action at the end? There you go. Intro, middle, outro. Three components to your next episode, to all episodes. I'll put it in the show notes as is, but use that as a framework and tweak it. Test it, try it, get feedback, and work at it again and again and again. And you'll hone in what works for your show. My show's not your show. Your show's not my show. So do what works for your podcast. That's what we do here on the How to Podcast series. There's not one way. Keep that in mind. So some practical ways podcasters can take this information and apply it today. Here's a few closing thoughts. Know your content. Number 1, rehearse your ideas, not your sentences, so that you can look up mentally and focus on the listener instead of your notes. You can't bury your head in a piece of paper or be so captivated by your teleprompter that you're not even in the moment. Use minimal anchors. Bullets on a whiteboard, a sticky note, a brief scene label to keep you on track without trapping you into the reading mode. Just give yourself the highlights, the big things, the big points, and invite interaction. Ask questions, refer to listener stories, and build in moments where you imagine their responses. It resets you into more of a connective mode when you feel yourself drifting back to the performance side of podcasting. Embrace the imperfections. Accept that a pause, a stumble, it's okay. It's fine. Then just move on. And the value that you deliver matters more than the flawless delivery of how you do what you do on your show. When podcasters drop the script, they give their audience something more powerful than perfection. It's a genuine, present human voice that feels like a companion, not a lecture, not some disengaged teacher who speaks to their books and never looks up at the students in the classroom, right? That's not what we want. We want engagement. I've always found as a student, the teachers that connected with me the most in how they taught, my grades were better in their classes than the teacher who was disengaged. They just showed up for a paycheck. They did the same outline and the same course that they've done for the last 20 years. They've never tweaked it. They're just the same old. And you're like, you would do the class if it was totally empty and there's no students here at all. You would still get up and do the whole thing. It would, because they're just caught in this routine. And when I listen to podcasts about podcasting, I'm hearing people just regurgitating the same thing over and over and over and over because they've done it for 20 years and that's all they know. They haven't grown. They haven't tried anything new, and they're not talking to you. They're talking at you. This show is meant to be different. It's meant to be more connected. And I'm seeing it in the numbers. I'm seeing it in the emails and the DMs and the buy me a coffees and everything. And the comments on Spotify. I'm seeing you guys. Thank you. And it means a lot as a podcaster to have that kind of connectivity with you as someone in my audience. So thank you. So do that. Build your audience out. Drop the script. Don't be overly scripted. And if you still love your script today, then little pieces of your show in the future. Find ways to insert more of you. Step away from the script and come back to it. Even if you do it once, that's one more time than you've ever done before. And see what happens to your audience. And get feedback. I'd love to help you. howtopodcast.ca. Thanks for being here. Take care. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar, and I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comment section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need the show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So, howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening. You're still here. Amazing. Okay, this is bonus stuff for people who stick around to the end. It's extra stuff over and above what we talked about on the episode today. So thank you for sticking around. This shows the app that you like what you hear, and that's helpful to me. So thank you. Really means a lot. The idea of your podcast. I'm a podcast-first podcaster. My show and this episode is my main focus. Everything else comes in the margins of life. Okay? I have a job. I have things I have to do. I'm doing this whenever I have time, and I don't have a lot of time. Yet I'm still doing these 365 days in a row. So I'm trying to be creative with my time and use the amount of time I have to the best of my ability. That's kind of my approach. So when I think about all the promoting the episode and getting on social and doing an email newsletter and doing that and SEO and website and YouTube and on and on and on and on, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to think about all the stuff that happens after the mic shuts off. And I'm hearing it from podcasters. Some people are just walking away from social media for their podcast completely because they're not getting a return on their investment. They're posting reels and they're on Threads and they're over on Twitter and Blue Sky and all over the place. And it's not bringing anyone to their podcast. And the reason is because those platforms aren't designed to send people away. They're designed to keep people. They're designed to keep people where they are, not have people come to Instagram and leave and go somewhere else. They want to keep the people on Instagram. Otherwise, Instagram won't be Instagram anymore. They want to keep the people that they have, not send them in elsewhere. So they downplay all the people that send them off platform. And that's why it's really hard to get somebody to transition from a social media follow to a listener of your show. It's a big difference. So I would suggest, if you have time, in the margins of life, as your podcast develops, that you start with what works best for you. If you come from video, then video seems to be the logical choice for you to start with video. That just makes sense. You have all the gear, you have all the background, the training, the equipment, then yeah, video seems like a logical first step for you. If you don't come from video and you've never done video before and you don't have any of the equipment, then unless you have a lot of money and time to learn how to edit a video might not be the best choice for you. Again, you're not going to hear that on every show, podcast about podcasting, because a lot of these people who love video have video links for you to use, which they'll make money from. I don't have those. So I can talk about this freely, and I don't work for a company that promotes video podcasting. So I don't have anybody looking over my shoulder right now saying, say the words. No, I don't have to. And those other podcasts about podcasting have elements of that, and you'll hear it throughout their podcast. They have an agenda. They do. It's what they do. So I would say if you can add anything to your podcast first approach is that you think about a newsletter. And the reason for that is you have people signing up, giving you permission to talk to them outside of the podcast through email. That's good. And no matter where you go as a creative, you can bring those emails with you. Great. Awesome. It's a great connection point. So that's better than social media for me, having an email and direct connection with my audience. Good. So that's one. You also then can reach out through video. And video is great for searchability. It's very popular. And if you can only do clips, then do clips. That's the best you can do. Then don't feel like you're not doing enough. Do what you can with what you have where you are. It's my favorite quote. Do video when you can. If you have time to do it. If you don't, then don't feel like you're missing out. You're not. So audio, video, and written. Those are the three components to, I think, a great way to connect with your audience. But don't just take what you record in audio and put it out as video and take the transcript and put it out as words. Each of these three, written, video, and audio, have different expectations from the people who receive your content in those three different ways, written, video, and audio. And you need to serve the content to what people expect in written and what people expect in video and what people expect in audio. You need to create the stuff that works on those platforms. You can't just create one thing and plaster it everywhere because the results are going to be very, very detrimental for you. You need to create based on the platform where it's being received. So if you're going to create on Substack, then you need to understand Substack. You can't just have a surface level understanding of it and hope for the best. You can't just take audio, slap it up on YouTube and hope for the best. YouTube's an animal. YouTube demands your attention. You need to be a student of YouTube if you want to be on YouTube. It's just how it works. And in audio, you got to learn to get better at your podcast. And you got to be on every platform in audio. And you got to learn how to talk to an audience when they can't see you. All of those things are important. So again, if you start on video, you can't just take your video and throw it into audio and hope for the best. You can't just take your video and throw it into words and hope for the best. If you start from a written perspective, you can't just jump into an audio podcast and read your script. You can't just take your audio and turn it into a video. You can't just, all of these components work separately, but together, what a great combo. Only if you have time. And from my perspective to you, if you love writing, then make writing your first choice. And then everything else is after that. If you love audio, then make audio your first choice. And everything else is after that, when you have time. If you love video, then do video well. Add audio and add written when it makes sense. Your approach is your approach. I'm here to help you. I'm glad to talk you through it. But for me, in this show and my other 8 podcasts, I'm an audio-first creator, and everything else is extra on the side. That's my approach. And there's going to be gurus who don't like it, but I just don't listen to their shows. And then I don't have to worry about their opinions. It works really well. Thanks for being here. Take care. If you need help, howtopodcast.ca. See you tomorrow.